Jon Anik and Kenny Florian podcast. Jon Anik and Kenny Florian.
I f***ing love them. I can't get enough of them.
Let's hear that Boston next.
Big jab there from Duffy, and Frank Mir is hurt now. Down goes Duffy, out cold. Frank Mir does it again. Rock'em sock'em robots here. Oh my goodness.
Hyperbole.
They're a couple of absolutely self-involved bullshit artists.
Here are your hosts, Jon Anik and Kenny Florian.
What else you doing on a Monday, though? What are you doing on a Monday? We're live on YouTube, on the Draftkings network, and wherever you may be listening to the Anik and Florian podcast. It is almost 2025, but not before. We put a bookend on the year that was 2024. Great to be back in the saddle. A little rusty after the bye week, perhaps not. It is Monday, December 30th, 2024, episode 529 of the Anik and Florian podcast. Ken Flo, final episode of the year. Looking pretty good in purple, I might say.
Thank you. This is my my Charlotte FC shirt. Thank you for letting me know it's Monday, by the way. Like anytime it's like these holiday breaks, I have no idea what day it is. It's just a blur. The house is a mess. Everything's crazy, but it is good to be back, brother.
Kids are home, so that
they're home
has an impact, right? It's a Monday. It's a podcast day. Traditionally, the kids aren't necessarily in the home.
Right.
Might be some preschool going on. Yeah, so a lot of different variables, but we appreciate everybody being with us. Hope you enjoyed your Christmas or your Hanukkah, which is ongoing, or Kwanzaa, whatever applies. Happy holidays. We're very excited to ring in the new year with you and excited to have you live today for what is the 10th annual AFPA Awards, the 10th annual Anik and Florian Podcast Awards. And not unlike the name of this show, Kenny, the Anik and Florian Podcast, the AFPA Awards was just a placeholder. We were trying to come up with something creative to name our award show. We were trying to come up with something more juicy than the Anik and Florian Podcast for the name of this fucking program. But here we are, Kenny, 10 years in and ready to dole out some hardware today. I know a lot of fighters are watching live, excited to see who you're going to give your awards to. No, I'm just kidding. They really are not necessarily watching live. But thanks to everybody. We're excited to bring you the 10th annual Anik and Florian Podcast Awards presented by Cuervo. Now's a good time to remember where tequila's story truly began. In 1795, Cuervo invented tequila. Since then, Cuervo has stayed true to its roots, the same family, the same land, the same passion. 230 years later, we're still there in every pour, every margarita, in every celebration. So enjoy the tequila that started it all. Cuervo, the tequila that invented tequila. ProximoCuervo.com. Please drink responsibly. All right, Kenny, a lot to celebrate in 2024. And when Dana White says at the end of a calendar year, wait till you see what I got planned for 2025, I'm going to blow the roof off the place. It sounds hyperbolic, and yet the UFC perpetually, continuously delivers, right? If you say 2023 was a monster year, 2024 was bigger, right? UFC 300, the live event at Sphere, the emergence of Poetan and everything else. So when you think about where this sport is relative to when you last competed for the world title against Jose Aldo in 2011, or when we started ESPN MMA Live in earnest in 2007, or when we started this podcast in 2015, right. Look at mixed martial arts now, and it stands to reason 2025 is going to be bigger than this year somehow, some way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, I think the sport is finally getting the respect and attention that it deserves. A lot of that has to do, of course, with the increasing level of the fighters. The fighters are getting better all the time. They're getting more experience, of course, and the UFC continues to be that juggernaut that gets better at what they do as well. So as a result, we're just getting these better and better events all the time. There's more money that can be invested back into the sport. So it's awesome to see, man.
All right, Ray Longo, the star of this show, will interrupt our award show in about 20 minutes. We're going to talk to him about some futures as we look ahead to who might be UFC champions at this time next year. Also, Jason Anik, my twin brother, Boston Anik, going to join us here for some honorable mentions because unlike in past years where maybe we've given Ken Flo the opportunity to give out like 2 coaches of the year, just one winner in every category. So we do want to put some shine on some honorable mentions as well. And Jay will be the conduit to help us with that. All right. We begin our 10th annual Anik and Florian Podcast Award Show with the 2024 UFC Rookies of the Year. And really just one rule here, Kenny, this fighter must have made his or her UFC debut within the calendar year 2024. Who was your top UFC rookie, Kenny, this year?
All right, well, this Brazilian fighter went 3-0 in 2024. The masses were introduced to him because of the Dana White's Contenders series, of course, and he had a hiccup with the weight miss that kind of gave me a little bit of hesitancy in picking him. However, 3-0 in 2024, all by finishes. He beat Charles Jourdain. That was the one where he had that hiccup and a weight miss. Beat Weston Wilson prior to that, and then beat Drew Dober for his last win of the year and finish. So that makes, my rookie of the year. Congrats, my lord. Gene Lord Silva. Been on an absolute tear. Watch out for this dude.
Must-see television. We're all excited to see Jean Lord Silva compete in 2025. Ken Flo, Brazilian bias, going to be omnipresent throughout this award.
Yes.
So maybe not. We'll see. But definitely this is a category that is hotly contested, and competition was hot for UFC Rookie of the Year in 2024. For me, though, when I went through all of the fighters who made that debut in 2024, there was but one fighter who stood out.
Is 42. Kayla Harrison will be 34 in July. Both women 5'8" tall.
Holly gets the clinch. Yeah, but this is not good for Holly. Holly needs to clear this. Yeah, you cannot be the guy who's your Holly rolled over.
Yeah, she taps it. Kayla Harrison has arrived in the big show. She submits Holly on round 2.
That was about as good as it could have gone. That's about as good as she could have ever hoped for.
Kayla Harrison.
So much happens within the octagon within a calendar year. And sometimes it's hard to think back to performances that happened in January or February when Ilia Topuria knocked out Alexander Volkanovski. It feels like I was 35 years of age when that actually took place. But Kayla Harrison made her UFC debut this year. And as we sit here right now, she is the biggest betting favorite across all divisions to be the champion in her division at this time next year. And even if she wasn't as dominant as some thought she would be in her second start against Ketlin Vieira, I think that adversity that she fought through and faced over those 15 minutes is something that is going to behoove her moving forward. And certainly what she did against Holly Holm was super impressive. ESPN MMA gave Kayla Harrison their Female Fighter of the Year in a year in which maybe not a lot of the champions stood out with 2 or 3 title defenses or big-time performances. So if Kayla Harrison isn't your 2024 Female Fighter of the Year, I think for a lot of people, she was the top Rookie of the Year in 2024. Jason Anik now joins us as we begin the process of honorable mentions. Wow. I mean, I was admiring Ken Flo's wings out the backside of his hat in the pre-show meeting. Your hair looks fantastic.
Oh, we're letting the lettuce flow a little bit. I hope I sound good too on your studio equipment, John. Both these guys were talking about their toppy hats, right? Your toppy hats. Kenny was talking about stabbing you with the top of his hat. I mean, I got a shelf up here right now, but yeah, low. You know, the salt and pepper. I know a lot of men watch this show, but ladies kind of like the salt and pepper, I'm told.
Yeah.
No, Kayla is the one. A couple honorable mentions here for you. I mean, no recency bias, gentlemen. How about Kaya Sakura, fresh off headlining 310 and arriving? I think he's going to make a nice run despite the greatness of Alexandre Pantoja. MVP, Michael Venom Page, Carlos Prates. Any of those jump out to you, Flo?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Prates, of course. And he's a guy that I kind of slept on all year. So, I mean, all finishes this year as well. Another guy from the same team as Gene Lord Silva, perhaps not as much flair as Gene Silva, but devastation there, gets extra points for that. He's been on fire, man. So that would have probably been my second choice. And yes, John, that is another Brazilian.
If we were to poll the masses, and I probably should have done this in some of my spare holiday time, but if we were to have polled the masses on all of these categories and given them 4 choices, part of the reason I don't do that poll exercise on X is because it results in a bunch of bunched panties, even among the men who watch this program, right? Because I don't include their choice. But I do think if you polled the MMA masses, Carlos Prates, albeit not unanimous, would be the Rookie of the Year. He also smokes the fucking lung darts, which we love. Michael Venom Page, I like as well. But Kaya Sakura is an interesting one because he was 0-1 in the UFC and he just made his UFC debut in a championship setting. But I do think he was one of the top Rookies of the Year, and I can't wait to see him compete probably second quarter 2025. All right. Breakout Star of the Year is our second category out of a possible 10. And I actually think you can get Jay out of the shot anytime, Code Blue. It's the most open to interpretation. Breakout star of the year. Some implication here that they weren't a star prior, but you can argue few men broke out more in 2024 than Ken Flo's selection.
A guy right now that I could see beating legendary fighters like that in one calendar year by finish.
Topuria getting touched a lot by Volk here in round 2.
Yep.
That'll do it, and new!
Oh my goodness!
To Spain! Ilia Topuria, the featherweight champion of the world! Pretty good head movement there by the champ. A huge right now for Topuria! Holloway gets out of the pocket.
Max has got a chin on him.
But he was hurt. That's the first time I've seen him stunned like that.
But Ilia's got to be careful that he doesn't punch himself out.
Massive knockdown for Topuria, and still, he does it again! Ilia Topuria!
Well, what makes someone a star in this sport? This is how I see it. I think when you have a style inside the octagon that is exciting to watch, I think that makes you a star. And when you're able to do that at a high level, when the stakes are highest, that also makes you a star. Who is doing that on a bigger level than someone like Ilia Topuria? And then he plays the part of a star with his style outside of the cage as well. He's inviting some of the biggest soccer stars in the world. Some of the biggest soccer stars in the world are coming out to see him fight. He was at one of the biggest clubs in the world is Real Madrid in Spain, and he was there for one of their opening matches, introduced as the UFC world champion. That is a very, very big deal. Maybe it's not the biggest sport here in the United States, but it is the biggest sport in the world. And to hear now that they want to do a fight at Bernabeu in Spain with Topuria as the main event, that shows how big of a deal he is. He's huge in Europe, will continue to be big here in the States, and what a year he has had.
He was on the cover of, what is it pronounced, Marca, right? The biggest sports publication in Spain, which that honor and distinction had never been bestowed upon an MMA fighter. And when you think about the swing, Kenny, right? The relative swing in terms of his star power and potential, were he to have lost that fight to Volkanovski, it's crazy, right? Because here's a guy, unlike some previous world title challengers, and Kai Asakura is interesting because here's another guy who came into his first UFC fight with over 1 million, I think, Instagram followers, if I'm not mistaken, right? But Ilia Topuria, before winning the belt, I think already had over 2 million Instagram followers. But now his star power has just gone to a completely different level. There were a lot of breakout stars in 2024. New Mansa Joaquin Buckley comes to mind. The Welsh gangster Oban Elliott, to me, was a breakout fighter. I don't know if he's a breakout star this year. Maybe somebody who potentially comes into this conversation in 2025. I like the way he sort of handled himself both on microphone and with his work in the octagon. For me, though, there was a UFC star born maybe late 2023, but mostly through 2024. And I think this guy goes global in 2025.
Reckless and Curtis. Can't see the big reactions.
Yeah, that's
Curtis
nice combination.
Curtis
Sits him down. Blades nearly down and out early. That's it. It's over. Retains the throne. Unbelievable. The power is different. The finishing instinct.
Any man on planet Earth, including Curtis Blades, of course.
Yeah, Blades with an immediate protest, but that was not a good visual. Hard to argue with Mark Goddard's stoppage there.
So it sort of started to snowball when he knocked out Sergey Pavlovich. But for Tom Aspinall to have New York sports fans and UFC fans chanting Tommy when John Jones is getting ready to fight Stipe Miocic was wicked telling to the UFC fan that resides within for me. Tom Aspinall is a star, and I think he has the potential to become a global superstar. There is no greater distinction in combat sports than undisputed UFC heavyweight champion. He does not have that title right now, but if he gets the John Jones fight in 2025, and all indications are he might actually be favored to win it, then the world will truly be Tommy Aspinall's oyster. So for me, Jay, I don't know if you agree, disagree. I don't know how you would have handled this award if we actually gave you the opportunity to give it to somebody, Jay.
Oh,
but for
me?
Tom Aspinall was the
That's my breakout star 2024. Of course, my guy Bilal Muhammad strapping it up. Thank God he was given the chance, right, to do it. But breakout star of the year, Bilal Muhammad. And you talk about how exciting that 5-round fight was, John. So, yeah. So anyway,
yeah, no, I think Bilal Muhammad deserves consideration for breakout star of the year. But like, am I giving him the trophy over Tom Aspinall? I mean, Bilal takes my text maybe more than Tommy does. But like, am I going to sit here and say that Bilal broke out more than Tom? I just don't know that I can do that. As the man of veracity that I am.
Yeah, undisputed though. But anyway, before I get to the names of the other honorable mentions, you might not like me for doing this, but it's not a name of a person, but I just have to do my annual shout out. The star of the year for me was the Sphere. We got to go back, Dana. I'm going to just punch it every time I get a microphone in front of me. It was the greatest night of my life. DC said the same thing with respect to my wife. Some of the other honorable mention names, Alex Pereira, which surprises me a little bit, John. I felt like 2023, he had already been born. Dricus du Plessis, Merab Dvalishvili, Shara Bullet, Ian Machado, Gary, John, you mentioned Joaquin Buckley. Flo, any of those names worth any more words?
Gosh. I mean, it was pretty easy for me with Ilia Topuria. Obviously, those guys injected the conversation. I think they deserve it, to be mentioned. But yeah, man, I mean, Aspinall and Topuria.
Pretty well done, boys.
Yeah, Merab Dvalishvili, I think, is a guy who was a breakout star. Oftentimes we find ourselves talking about these high-level elite fighters, and in this case, this year, the new champions, of which there were a lot, right? Dricus du Plessis, Bilal Muhammad, Merab Dvalishvili, all breaking out, but not as much as Tom Aspinall and Ilia Topuria, who...
And John, quickly, in and out of the octagon, right? Merab and Bilal, their followings on social, their stars, certainly born. It's different walking around Las Vegas with Bilal Muhammad than it was, 6-7 months ago.
I do have to say, though, and thank you, Jay, in a revote, the breakout star of the year was actually that venue, Jay. You're right. For me, this year will be, the year of Poetan, but the year of this live event at Sphere, and we can only hope that we get back there because, just something indescribably special about doing a live event inside that venue. And
Rogan would do it for free. Rogan would do it for free.
I'm telling you.
I know.
But just if you strategically build a fight card around Khamzat Chimaev at Sphere, right? That's the
International Fight Week doesn't have to, International Fight Week doesn't have to be at T-Mobile. It doesn't have to be. It can be in that little circle. But I know it's an enormous undertaking for the promotion.
Right. I'm just saying. All I ask for. What do I want for Christmas? It's already passed. I want Dana White to buy the Boston Celtics, and I want a Khamzat Chimaev headline fight card at Sphere. Imagine you put Dricus.
Cody says in the chat, I'd rather see Raider Stadium in 2025. That's because you weren't in the Sphere, right? No disrespect.
So
give me your ticket next time. I'll fucking go. How's that?
No, I'm just saying.
But no, you go Khamzat Chimaev, Dricus du Plessis at Sphere. I will actually give the UFC my show money and pay to broadcast the event. All right, Jay, we'll be back with you here shortly as we transition to what I think for me is the hardest category to pick. And in past years, we were allowed to give out 2 winners. It is our Robert FOLLIS Memorial Cornerman / Coach of the Year Award, named in honor of the late, great Robert FOLLIS, outstanding MMA mind and coach who passed away in 2017 at the age of 48. So Ken Flo's 2024 Coach of the Year, no bias here, was actually a guest on this show a few months back. Ken Flo's 2024 Anik and Florian podcast, Coach of the Year. Evening and 2024 for you, man. You got to be feeling pretty good about the way things have gone over the last few months.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm happy with it. It's we've been working hard. Like quietly hard, and that's the way I was taught, man, to do things. Just look forward, shut your mouth, keep on going, and let your work do the talking, and never get in front of the fighters. That's one of the number one things that I always preach. It's not about us, the coaches. It's about them. Of course, I mean, we're a great part of it, but all those things come in place, dude. Because in moments of doubts, dude, fame doesn't sustain you, money doesn't sustain you, nothing like that sustain you. So I always believe by that. I do this because I love it. I do this because it's my passion and stuff like that, and I want to see this guy succeed.
Yeah, again, that moment when Mike Valley came on the show, I became even more of a fan. His humility, his focus on the fighter being first in all things, really impressed me. And this is a guy that's been around for a very long time. So for some people that are maybe hearing about him just in the last year, this guy has been in the trenches for a very, very long time. First started working I guess in Texas where he had his gym, then was in Albuquerque, New Mexico, now has his gym in Chicago with Valley Flow Striking. And, he's worked with past fighters like Gina Carano, Eric Goito Perez, Leonard Garcia, Carlos Condit, but now is really on the scene because of his work with Yair Rodriguez and two champions that came onto the scene this year, Juliana Pena, who had the belt, regained the belt because of him here in 2024. And of course, our guy, Bilal Muhammad, who became a champion this year, who has only shown improvement every single time he has fought. For me, I think this was pretty easy. Mike Valley, a guy who hasn't gotten a whole lot of respect over the last several years, even though he's been a big part of a lot of fighters' camps, I think really deserved it here in 2024. Congratulations to Mike.
Nicely done, Ken Flo. Mike Valley, the winner of Kenny's 2024 Coach of the Year. For me, the Robert FOLLIS Memorial Corner Man of the Year award goes to Mornay Visser. And I guess this is in some part a way to hand out some hardware to the UFC middleweight champion, Dricus du Plessis. As far as I was concerned, the Coach of the Year award conversation ended when Dricus successfully defended the title by submitting Israel Adesanya in defense of his title. My goodness, Ken Flo. I mean, this South African champion is such a unique talent. He has run roughshod through the truly elite middleweights of his era. He's got a big rematch coming up, of course, here first quarter of 2025. But the man putting it all together is Mornay Visser. And perhaps Mornay Visser will be judged in part on what CIT is able to do in the future, what fighters like Cameron Simon can do, and how many other elite UFC fighters they can actually produce there out of South Africa. But we saw a couple different nations come through in 2024 for the first time with UFC champions, Georgia and Spain, South Africa with Dricus du Plessis. And it's hard to know maybe how to dole out the credit in terms of like a fucking pie chart, like Dricus, his teammates, his head coach. But just hear what Dricus du Plessis has to say about this man, the cerebral Mornay Visser, putting it all together, unorthodox, thinking outside the box, studying film, calling their shots, turning their words into action at every turn. Mornay Visser, my 2024 Coach of the Year.
And
Jay,
John,
yeah, go ahead, Ken Flo.
I was going to say, I love the pick, and I'm always fascinated by these outliers who, South Africa isn't known as this hotbed of mixed martial arts, and the fact that they're able to produce a champion in the UFC in what is the highest level that division has been, the middleweight division, of course, says a lot about Mornay's style, his approach, just very, very impressive.
Hey, Jay, part of the reason in years past, Kenny and I have given out 2 Coach of the Year awards is because, not unlike fighters, this is also a very sensitive lot. So let me just say, go ahead, Jay, please.
I was going to say, Pahumpa's probably already on the way to your house between Moicano and the Cannibal, right? Right? He's down here in South Florida. He likes that hardware. Pahumpa. What's up?
I think he actually deleted my number at some point in time. I don't know if it had to do with some Amanda Nunes thing, but anyway, dude, yes, Pahumpa is obviously the most notable omission for us this year. What he has done with Alexandre Pantoja is nothing short of spectacular. Yep. Obviously, they realized the belt last year. They have twice now defended it, 3 times, I believe. Incredible Pahumpa, obviously, Ken Flo, and I think the most notable omission for us, but, it kind of is what it is. There's only so much hardware to go around, right? I mean,
yeah, that's right. And he's won it before with us, right? And Pahumpa's a stud, man. Not only, again, his work with Pantoja, but all the fighters that he works with. It seems like he's present at every freaking professional mixed martial arts event that takes place. He's traveling all the time. One of the hardest working and smartest guys in the game. So absolutely deserves honorable mention.
Jay, who else?
Others, John, Eric Nixick, Saif Saud, Plino Cruz. And by the way, I could watch Plino Cruz dance with Poatan for days. Just sit in a chair, step, touch. I go for days.
It is incredible. Yeah, Plinio Cruz, who just won the award for Coach of the Year at the World MMA Award ceremony in December, earlier this month, I should say. Yeah, Eric Nixick, the General Saif Saud. You can do right by all of these men and women, right? I mean, yeah, any of these would be good choices. All right, Jay, thank you. That's it for our Robert Follis Memorial Coach / Cornerman of the Year. Congratulations to our winners, Mike Valley and Mornay Visser. All right, upset of the year, Ken Flo. You're going with the local guy out of the great state of Massachusetts, are you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So Kyler Phillips has been one of these guys that I've talked about a lot over the years. He's impressive to watch. He's got a lot of different skills. His physicality that he adds to the game. He's beaten some big names over the last few years: Song Yadong, Pedro Munoz, Raoni Barcelos. And he just has a very unique and tough style for people to deal with. And, I guess you look at Rob Font over the last year or two, he's had a lot of struggles. He was 1-4 heading into that fight against Kyler Phillips. And he seemed to have lost his form. Well, he, brought his prime form right back in this fight against Kyler Phillips, had a rough round 1, but then made some amazing adjustments with Faraz Sahabi in the corner and came back and executed beautifully in rounds 2 and 3 and made Kyler Phillips look lost out there. It was an awesome fight. It was a technical fight, but Rob Font was just he was just on point for the last 10 minutes of that fight. And for me, looked like he's back on track and ready to make another run, perhaps at the UFC belt. So it was great to see Rob Font back in pristine form and looking really good against a very tough fighter to beat in Kyler Phillips. So for me, Rob Font surprised me. It was an awesome fight. It was a beautiful win. And it was my upset of the year in 2024.
Yeah, plus 375 or so was Rob Font at close. And I was asked by our friends at OddsShark to come up with fighters to keep an eye on, I think, going into 2025 or something like that with a championship ceiling. And one of the guys that I mentioned before that fight against Rob Font was Kyler Phillips. So that went a huge feather in the cap of what one Rob Font. One guy who knows a thing or two about upsets and upsets of the year is the great Ray Longo.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, Ray, huh?
That's it, baby.
How we doing? It looks like you go 5 o'clock shadow during the holidays.
Oh, yeah. 5 o'clock shadow all the way, John. Whatever the hell that means. But anyway, how we doing, guys?
Good, Ray. How are you? Did you just wake up or no?
What's the define just wake up?
Well, it's 12:02 p.m. Eastern. We are live. Did you wake up within the last 45 minutes or so, Ray?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Good life.
So I'm drinking a Liquid Death mountain water today. And it is interesting when it comes to branding, right? Do you guys remember back in the day when these gentlemen invented black water? BLK?
Maybe.
So the water's black, right? Like, I know a lot of things. One thing I know is that I don't want to drink fucking black water. I know it doesn't make your teeth black, but I don't want to drink black water. I get the creative.
I think that's what I've been drinking. I knew it.
So,
I knew it. You guys stopped drinking the black water.
I know. We should have all stayed on the same page. If we all kept drinking black water, our teeth would look the same. That's hilarious. So, but no, I bring it up in the context of Liquid Death, right? Because I am drinking this can, and some people suggest, and I'm sure Ken Flo would tell you, drinking anything out of an aluminum can is probably not good for you, right? Like eating a can of corn, probably not good for you. But it says on this can, Ray, Liquid Death, murder your thirst. And it says something else about, recycle or die. So my son is 6 and he's learning how to read, Sorry if your kid read at 3, okay? My kids are a little bit slower. But, it says things like murder your thirst, recycle or die, and Liquid Death. And my son's looking over at the can like, Daddy, why does your can say Liquid Death?
Oh, because I'm trying to kill myself.
No, because I'm trying to get a sponsor for the Ray Longo Minute. And
wow. We're having trouble with that?
We shouldn't be having any trouble with that,
We'll take Liquid Death.
Kept appearance.
It's Liquid Death by default.
Anyway, Ray, go ahead, Ray.
Let me see the can.
You want
We
to see
can
the
do that?
can,
Yeah,
Ray?
let's see what we got here. Let's give him a little
Liquid
shout
Death.
out. Wow, Liquid Death.
Is that the sparkling
Oh,
version
this
or
is
just a
just
regular?
still, kid.
Okay, okay,
It's just
all
a
right.
still drinking
I like
water.
the sparkling water. It's good.
Yeah.
Is the owner of that company's last name Kevorkian by any chance?
Huh, that's good. That's good. That's good stuff from Ray Longo on a Monday, is it not? Anyway, Ray, how was your holiday? How was your Christmas? Did your daughters buy you anything?
Yeah, everything's good. Holidays were good. Yeah, the presents were nonstop. You know the way it is around Christmas.
Yeah. So I have a few questions for you today. Some stuff on Merab Dvalishvili, some stuff on maybe who might end 2025 as UFC champion. But because this is our award show, when you look at 2024, most people would say their male fighter of the year is either Alex Poatan-Pereira or Ilia Topuria. Now, a lot of champions had big years, of course, Dricus du Plessis and Alexandre Pantoja, but tough year to be competing against the likes of Poatan and Ilia Topuria. So when you look back at this year, Ray, is there one of those two guys or somebody else that stood out for you?
Oh man, those are two pretty good guys that's hard to beat in that category. I mean, I'll tell you the difference might be like with Alex Pereira. I mean, with Poatan, whatever you call him, John. Sorry about that.
I mean, God, like just
No, but
call him Alex.
but I'll
Alex
tell you,
a lot of people have to go Alex. Like
Alex,
why we
yeah,
go,
I don't know.
no, it's not Alex. And
Alex
Chael,
or Alex. Yeah, exactly.
I think with
yeah.
Chael Sonnen, it's a bit like when he does the Blahal or the Piera. I think it's actually a bit, but it is funny. Like people are afraid to mess up Alex, so they go Alex, and it sounds like anal. Can you just go Alex or Alex?
Jeez, where is he at? Kenny,
We've
where is
gone
he
downhill.
at? Where
We've
is he
gone
at this
downhill.
morning?
Oh,
He
man.
drew anal from Alex.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wait a
As
minute.
you were saying about
Yeah,
Poatan,
but I think but that's a guy you really get excited to watch at this point because it's always, and even though Topuria, I think probably the best hands in boxing at this point. Basics like we went through it before. Fundamentally, always punches in balance. He's always moving forward. His defense is good. The other guy, just when he starts hitting you and wrecking you, it just makes for a different type of feel. You know what I mean? Like I think Alex, he breaks you down just inch by inch. The other guy seems to get you out of there. It's kind of the same thing, but I feel there's a different intensity with Alex, and I think that's what makes him exciting. And everybody always likes the bigger guys anyway. I think that's probably part of it also. But who doesn't want to watch that guy fight? And even his last fight with Roundtree, I mean, like again, it looked like he was hitting a little adversity here and there, but he just stayed steady Eddie to the course, and just those little shots here and there that we didn't think were doing anything in the first two rounds started to add up like in a heartbeat. Like it went from, it's not bad to my leg's killing me. This is her.
Yeah.
And then he just starts ripping you apart, and you can't sit there with a guy like that and let him tee off on you. It just looks, his punching power to me looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I think because he's bigger, I mean, the same kind of outcome, same everything, but I think the bigger guys are always going to get the shine on that.
Yeah. It is interesting. And Kenny, I'm going to have you save your bullets, right? I have said, like, there are women in this world that are so unattractive to me that I would sooner like French kiss a dude. And I like Ken Flo has this love affair with Ilia Topuria that I don't even have to get to the end of the show to know that if there's a category in which Kenny can give an award to the Spaniard Ilia Topuria, he's going to give it to him,
Wow.
You're not going to French kiss Ilia Topuria, though. I think.
You're not?
No.
Maybe, though, if I lined up him next to some women, you might kiss him. I'm just saying. All right, Ray. So Merab Dvalishvili is putting his undisputed UFC bantamweight championship on the line in 19 days, which to me is systematically insane. Now, we have had that conversation already in terms of the decision-making and maybe my disagreement with him accepting this fight. What do you have for us on Merab and how you feel now? I mean, you must have an itinerary already to Inglewood. This is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I told you, man, I thought it was a joke when they announced it because I was out in Vegas with Aljo and when I saw him, he goes, no, it's for real, but don't worry, everything's good. I'm saying, like, Rob, that's just, I thought it's insanity, but, it is what it is. Marab's going to do what Marab's going to do. I think no matter where he is, no matter how much of a camp he has, like, if if the other guy wasn't training and they both started at the same time, Marab would be in better shape because he's always like, again, I don't think you're not going to deter him. It's enough of a training camp for him based on what I know that he's going to be fine. There's no question about it. I just don't think it's right. You know what I mean? There's some guys that could pull it off and there's some guys that can't. He's definitely a guy that could pull it off
So
because he's just always going.
So what is your main issue with it? It's the quick turnaround because mentally you feel like it's a problem for Marab, because like the way I see it, right? It's like Marab, he's going to be in shape. Marab isn't going to change his style fight to fight. It's not like, oh, I got to do something different. Marab's going to do what Marab does, as you mentioned. So for you, why are you hesitant or not liking the scenario optimally, I guess?
I mean, for me, it was just principle. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he wanted to fight in March, but because I guess the holidays for whatever Ramadan is for them, it's got to be before that. But it seems like just he's the champ. He should be dictating a little bit of what's going on.
So you feel they're catering more to Nurmagomedov than they are to Marab?
I mean, I don't know what they do. If I say they're catering more to him, all the crazies come out and like, hey, scared of.
Well, would you like me to say it? I work for the company. Would you like me to say
I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I don't think this shit makes sense to anybody. Nobody had to turn around.
I started the conversation.
Let me
the
ask
promotion cuts my paycheck, so maybe I should interject.
When O'Malley beat Aljo, what was his next fight? With Marab. How long was that? Imagine if they would have made him turn around in 2 months, tell him you got to fight again. Not happening. So I don't know. Well, it is what it is. I don't know. I'm not. It's Christmas.
I'm not trying to get you going, but one of the things that
he's
I certainly didn't want to get him going in that capacity. But in terms of, Marab's going to do what he's going to do, right? Yes, right. And I understand that Marab is this unique athlete that your prototypical championship training camp is not applicable to him. But he is emotional about this matchup. He is emotional about this opponent. He is posting videos, perhaps in the nature of content creation, but outside the UFC PI, suggesting that as the undisputed UFC bantamweight champion, he's not being let in because Umar is in there and they don't want friction, right? This calendar is being laid out for the challenger in front of Ramadan in no uncertain terms.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like, they want to put everything in that guy's advantage. That's the way it looks like to me, but I think it's 100% going to backfire. Marab's definitely a different cat. I just think, you see him go back to Georgia, let him enjoy the belt a little bit, man. The guy's fought 100 times. He's never shying away from a fight. I mean, the guy finally gets to the pinnacle of what he's been doing for the last 15, 20 years of his life. I don't know. Give him an extra 2 months. Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, not to mention what he had to do just to get there.
Without a doubt.
Right?
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I've been saying this for years, right? Dating to Jessica Andrade against Zhang Wei Li.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it because I don't even let my kids use words like this. But Kenny, one of the dumbest things you can do is win the undisputed championship and then hastily put it on the line 3 or 4 months later under less than ideal circumstances. And we're sitting here with one of this man's coaches, right? So, Pahumpa was presented with something with Pantoja recently, and he almost was like, dude, delete my number and go get a new head coach, Ray. And I'm not asking you or John Wood to do that. Marab's his own man. Stylistically, I understand why he did this, right? But when I heard that this fight was happening at UFC 311, I didn't think it was a joke, but I just couldn't believe it. I think it's a very wayward decision by your guy.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. I don't think you're not going to find one person to disagree with you. But fortunately for us, we have a guy that I really believe at the end of the day, it's not going to matter. he's just that guy. But, it's almost like, what Teddy Atlas always says, right? Like you become a champion, you get 20% better. I don't know if it's him or that's just a saying in boxing, but
Yeah.
I think that applies when you have to wait at least 5 or 6 months. Like when you win the title and you defend it the next month, you don't even have a chance to absorb that you're the champion yet. And it's just, I don't like it. It's all bullshit.
I do think, though,
yeah,
if you're a fighter and you are listening and you become the undisputed champion, if you can somehow at least realize 6 months with that distinction, because again, your guy is the betting underdog in that fight. And I know
big underdog.
Right. All very interesting. All right. So I want to play a little game with you guys on the way out. I don't know if you have anything else pressing on your mind, Ray, but I just want to talk about where we might be at this time next year. So DraftKings Sportsbook right now has bettable odds on every single UFC division and who you think will be the champion of those divisions on December 31st, 2025. So we're sitting here. It's December 30th, 2024. So I'm just going to rifle through, some might say rapid fire, rifle through these divisions, and Ken, Flo, and Ray are going to tell me what they think as to where we might be at this time next year. Are you ready, Ray? I mean, your hair looks ready. All right. So to be the UFC heavyweight champion at this time next year, Tom Aspinall is the betting favorite at -130. John Jones +110. Others receiving votes: Jailton Almeida +300, Cyril Gane +500, and Alex Pereira +1,000 should he potentially get a heavyweight championship opportunity. Ken, Flo, who do you think is the heavyweight champion at this time next year?
I'm going to go with Jones actually at this point. I'm going to go with Jones. Yeah, I think that Aspinall is probably the only guy who could pull it off, and he could certainly pull it off. But right now, I'd give the advantage to Jones because of his ability to put people on their backs.
What do you think, Ray?
I love what he said, but I'm going to go with Aspinall.
Yeah, Aspinall -130. It's interesting on John Jones +110. It is not at all out of the realm of possibility. And I know fans are going to hate me for saying this, but that Jones versus Aspinall happens, but it happens in like 2026. And then you're getting John Jones +110. He doesn't compete all year. He still ends the year as the champion. I'm just saying he has now said that he wants 1 or 2 fights in the next, 3 or 4 years. He said something to that effect.
I mean, they're leading us to believe it's Aspinall and Jones, though, by everything they're
saying.
Yeah.
But would it surprise you if that fight was booked for, say, International Fight Week and then got delayed to Madison Square Garden and then got booked for first quarter 2026? I'm just saying.
Wow.
Stranger things have happened in the fight game. All right. To be the UFC light heavyweight champion at this time next year, I thought Khalil Roundtree Jr. at 30-1 was interesting because I think the nature of his fight against Alex Pereira is such that if he wins one fight, he could get a championship opportunity and damn near might win it. He's 30-1. Dominic Reyes is 10-1 to end next year's champion. I think he might get some preferential treatment because of everything that he's been through. Carlos Ulberg, could he get a title fight? He's 7-1. But the favorite, of course, to end next year, Ray, as light heavyweight champion is Alex Poatan Pereira -120. Magomed Ankalaev +195. Jamal Hill +600, and on down from there.
Ooh. Who we starting with?
I mean, you guys are pausing when I'm doing this exercise. Maybe I'll participate next time.
No, I'm going to go with
just go with chalk again. Just go with the favorite again. You think?
No. I'm going to go with Ankalaev.
Ooh, all right. Ankalaev +195. Ken, Flo, a guy in Magomed Ankalaev who many believe will be favored to beat Pereira should they fight. The question is, does he actually get the opportunity? What do you think about 205 at this time next year?
I like Alex Pereira, but can we talk about a possibility, the rumor of Khamzat Chimaev potentially getting thrown into the mix? Is there any credence to that? Do you believe that? Is that going to happen?
So Dana White is teasing something crazy, right? So no, I don't think, Kenny, that is out of the realm of possibility, but I don't know that I saw a number. Let me just see.
There was some
he's
rumor
50-1. So yeah, that's a good call, Ken, Flo. So if you go on DraftKings Sportsbook's application right now and you click View More, it does open up a tab. Khamzat Chimaev 50-1 to end next year's light heavyweight champion. Very interesting, Ken, Flo.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
To be the UFC middleweight champion at the end of next year, Ray. Khamzat Chimaev is actually the betting favorite at -200. Dricus du Plessis +120. Sean Strickland, Nasruddin Mavov, Caio Borralho, Anthony Fluffy Hernandez 11-1. Ray, who do you think's the middleweight champion at this time next year? Chris Weidman, not an acceptable answer. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Wow, what a motherfucker this guy is. Oh my God.
And
Holy
just a
shit.
flying knee. You just threw a flying knee.
I'm not Tony Hinchcliffe, right? We're just having a little fun.
Shit.
Maybe one day there will be a Jon Anik roast and everybody can come at me. Okay.
Wow, that's a good idea. I'm gonna go with Dricus du Plessis. I say he holds on to it.
Ken Flo, you think Dricus can maintain and sustain throughout 2025?
You know, the big problem is that Chimaev kind of just does everything a little bit better. And I think if he could survive the three rounds, then I think definitely Dricus, but Chimaev's going to be hard to stop, man. I think he matches up pretty well against Dricus. No disrespect to the champ right now, who's done amazing things, but I like Chimaev, man.
And hopefully the All-American Chris Weidman skips this 529th iteration of the Anik and Florian podcast.
Yeah,
just having fun. Just having fun with one of my.
I just texted him. Don't worry, he's not going to miss it.
Yeah, you tell
Thank you. Yeah.
Can't wait for his Hall of Fame induction ceremony. That's going to be a very special night. All right, let's go 4 wide if we could, as we talk about who might end 2025 as the undisputed
there he is,
welterweight champion.
Merry Christmas, Raymond. I've been back here for 30 minutes. Great to see you. You have me rolling back here, Raymond.
Oh,
and you
man,
look more awake now than you did 15 minutes ago.
Oh,
These guys get you going a little bit.
I'm waking up a little bit, Jason. Thank you for the compliments that I never get from your brother. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
It was actually a backhanded compliment suggested.
Okay, all right. See, you have to even jump in and ruin that. He's got to even jump in and ruin that. It's a backhanded compliment.
I've suggested Jay host this show. You two motherfuckers alongside, and I'll just get out of everybody's way. Okay, everybody loves Raymond, right?
All right, Scrooge. Let's move on to what do we got next?
Yeah, we're gonna move on. And Ray, anytime that you want to leave, you could just hit that leave studio button, and we'll take the reins from there. But no, it is interesting.
Don't worry about it. I left about 20 minutes ago. It's all right.
That's good. He uses this as like his cold brew to warm him up for his actual job. To hell with our viewership and listenership. We'll get him in whatever form so he can be sharp for the private coming up top of the hour. By the way, how about the new branding at Longo's MMA in Long Island, New York? Could we talk about that for a second, Ray?
Yeah, let's talk about it. What do we got?
That's your cue to fucking talk about it.
I'm not a self-promoter. Why you do that to me for? I don't know. Those guys, Steve Lee's doing a great job down there. So I'm not.
Yeah, Steve Lee is
I'm not involved as much as you think I am.
So is Steve Lee taking all the money as well, or no?
No.
Okay. So right. All right. So shout out to Steve Lee, manager to the stars, outstanding martial artist in his own right, who probably right now is using the hand on face emoji when Ray gets an opportunity to promote the newly branded Longo's MMA on Long Island, New York. Bags are packed. If I were you fighters, I would get on down there, but I guess we'll bring Steve Lee on to actually.
Big stuff happening in 2025 down there.
There it is.
I'm not going to say anything more, but
look at that
things happening.
He sounds like he's at a fucking funeral telling us that big things happen there.
Yeah, I think he went to the Kenny Florian School of Marketing over there. Yeah.
Right. I went to the Monotone School of Marketing is where I went.
Nice.
Try to promote the guy's gym. He's like, what else we got? All right, Ray, final category. Jay, I did want your thoughts on this as one of Bilal Muhammad's best friends in the world. Shavkat Rakhmonov at -150 is favored to be the welterweight champion at this time next year. Bilal Muhammad +200, Leon Edwards +350, which would imply that Leon would fight twice next year. Joaquin Buckley +350, Ian Machado Gary +400, Sean Brady's 20-1, Jack Della Maddalena 22-1, and Carlos Prates, Parliament Light in hand, is 50-1. Ray, who do you think ends next year as the welterweight champ?
I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this because you're friends with. I think Bilal's gonna hold on to it. I think he's got the motivation. He's definitely got the skill set. I'm gonna go with Bilal.
Yeah. All right, Jay, Kenny, Ken Flo, what do you think about the welterweight division? A lot of it has to do with opportunity, and we don't know how healthy Jack Della Maddalena is. He's 22-1, but I can assure you he's getting fast-tracked. He is a title eliminator / main event away from a title fight, and his next fight might actually be for a belt. Kenny, do you see value on anyone, anywhere in terms of these odds for 2025 at 170?
Yeah, listen, three-name Jack is a problem. I think he's definitely a dark horse in that division, could get it done. But I'm with Ray. And a lot of people, I'll say Bilal Muhammad, and people go, well, he's a friend of yours. Well, he's a friend of John and Jay's. He's not a friend of mine. I'm friendly with Bilal. I just think he's that good of a fighter. I think he's going to hold on to that belt and surprise and continue to surprise a lot of people.
You know, Bilal's health remains in question. I don't know anything more than anyone else does in terms of that. But what I'll say is, Kenny, what you said, talking about Shavkat after you beat Ian Gary, you said Bilal can figure out a way to beat that guy. And we talk about Merab. It's a very interesting conversation you guys had about the turnaround time. But if Bilal is healthy, most certainly he wants to fight twice in 2025. And we don't say defend it twice, fight for a different belt, 2 separate belts. But Shavkat's going to be next. Bilal loves his opportunity and the matchup there and his ability to figure out a way to beat him. And so from a gambling standpoint, I love Bilal, obviously, but from a gambling standpoint, for those of you out there, I would be looking, if you like Bilal or you like Shavkat in that next matchup, I'd be looking at who you think that next person could be, right? I think there's a lot of juice in Sean Brady 20-1 because I don't think that would be out of the realm of possibility for him to get that sort of rematch opportunity. That fight would have some juice for me as a fan if Bilal were to beat Shavkat. But from a betting standpoint, Bilal is the problem. Bilal is the boogeyman, not the guy with the cool hat.
Yeah, I just don't see the value on him at plus 200. You're going to get a plus number on him against Shavkat Rakhmonov anyway. And we'll see if Sean Brady ends up getting the Leon Edwards fight. Does Jack Della Maddalena get the Leon Edwards fight? Because that could potentially align for Sean Brady to close out 2025 with the title shot. All right, Jay, thank you. We'll talk to you in a few minutes as we continue the award show.
Love you, Raymond.
Jay, take it easy, buddy. Happy New Year if I don't talk to you.
Man.
Raymond.
Yes,
I look forward to seeing you in California in a few weeks. You can tell Chris Weidman if you talk to him later today. I was on DraftKings Sportsbook looking for a betting line on him to be the middleweight champion at this time next year, and I couldn't find one. So
he just can't let it go. He's got to keep on going. What else we got? What are you doing for New Year's?
Absolutely nothing. A friend of mine asked me recently, like, what's going on December 31st? I'm like, what? Like, I can't remember the last time I've stayed up for Dick Clark's Rockin' Eve. Kenny, what are you doing New Year's Eve?
I'll be down by you, buddy. I'm leaving tomorrow. Got a little New Year's Eve festivities tomorrow in Miami, actually. Just in and out. So I'm not staying too long, but so.
Wow. Now,
look how excited. Now, you going to stop by and visit your best friend?
He's not. You know what? It's a quick flight in and out. I'm like literally getting there a couple hours before the party, and then I fly out like the next morning. Otherwise, I would.
Wow.
Well, if you want to get in a roll, Kenny, we can train the morning after. Kenny, are you going by yourself, or will you be?
I'm taking the wife. The wife. Yeah.
Notice, Ray, how like this party is certainly highbrow, certainly like invite only.
Oh no,
notice how he won't tell us.
He's got the
I can talk about it after the fact, but probably not before the fact.
See what I mean? You know,
as long as he's not going to a freak off, I hope he has a good time.
No, it's not freak off. No.
All right, so
he's not mentioning the party. It's very clandestine. He's in, he's out. It's like a Navy SEAL mission. You know what I mean? He's got his fucking flippers on and the snorkel. He's coming in. Are you going when you arrive there? Will you be coming out of the water or an airplane?
Exactly. I'll be in one of those drones that's over New Jersey right now.
I mean, We got nothing on this. It's a secret party. Right now, do you find out where the address is like 20 minutes before you get on the plane? Like, what is
Guys
this?
are relentless.
Eyes wide shut. I think it's an eyes wide shut party.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know why we're relentless? Because we haven't been invited to a party in our lives that we couldn't talk about on the front end of it.
I was surprised. I was surprised myself when I got the invite.
Kenny, we're relentless because I'll be sitting on the couch with my dog. I want to go to the party with you.
Cheering with your dog. Yeah, good.
This is like Michael Rubin's white party or something. Kenny, anything you can do on behalf of the Anik and Florian podcast at this party of celebrities and rich people.
We'll take anything. Can you videotape just a little bit of it?
You know what? I'll try. I'll see what.
You know what they have? I'm going to send you. They have those glasses with a camera. Just walk around and look at everybody. Nobody will know it. Nobody will know anything. Kenny.
That's right. Might be one of those parties where they maybe make him put his cell phone in a bag when he gets there or something. I don't know. I don't know.
Did you receive baby oil in the mail in the last week?
I did. No, God, no. It's not one of those.
Yeah. All right, good. Well, thank God. Thank God. All right, we're safe.
Well,
we're
see what you can do, Ken Flo, on the sponsorship front in all seriousness, because at this point, Ray can't get us $500 from the chicken pound. So,
holy shit. Shout out to the chicken pound. Unbelievable. What are we looking for? Tell me what you're looking for.
I just want chicken, man. I'm down here in Florida. I just want chicken. And I want you
to a wing or something. You know, come on,
bro. Yeah. Unbelievable, man.
Hey, Ray.
Gosh.
I think you
10
guys
years
woke me
down.
up.
10 years down.
Is it 10 years down?
April will be our 10-year anniversary. So thanks for your contributions. Hopefully we have served as your caffeinated beverage for today.
This was fantastic.
I think it was pretty good.
All
right, well, we're going to let you go on that. Get back to your black water, okay?
Take it easy.
See you, Ray. Oh, man.
The Ray Longo Minute every week here on the Anik and Florian podcast. Real quickly, Ken Flo. To be the UFC light heavyweight champ, Makhachev is the favorite. Dan Hooker, maybe some value at 10-1. Featherweight champ, Topuria minus 175, but might not be long for the division. You know, you got Diego Lopez plus 400, Volk plus 800, Movsar Evloev plus 200. You know, the Umar Merab thing, Umar Nurmagomedov favored to be the bantamweight champion at plus 110 by this time next year. And then the only other thing I wanted to throw your way, because Ray was getting a little bit testy there.
Yes.
To be the UFC women's flyweight champion at the end of next year, Zhang Weili is 10-1. Now, in front of her, Valentina Shevchenko, Manon Fior, and Erin Blanchfield. But sometimes I just wonder for Zhang Weili, if she is able to somehow get through Tatiana Suarez, does Vina Janjidoba excite her? I mean, I love Kakara, right? But I just think for Zhang Weili, she's never, to my knowledge, talked about being a double champ. Not sure what else there is to do.
I know. I mean, she's beaten everybody. The Tatiana Suarez fight, that is very intriguing to me, just based on Suarez's style, her wrestling prowess. But yeah, you're right. If she gets by Suarez, what's kind of left for her? Yeah,
it's interesting. All right, back to the awards. Upset of the year. Ken Flo gave you Rob Font. For me, and you got to go back a ways for this upset, nearly a year ago, but it featured a tried and true American stalwart going north of the border to ruin the night for a bunch of Canadians.
Taking on the credentialed Neil Magny live on pay-per-view. Beautiful transition into mount by Magny. What a job by Magny to pour it on heavy again. Milan is tired. Oh my goodness. If he sends him out, it'll be over. Look at Magny. Oh my goodness. Big shots from Neil Magny. Look if he finishes this here. Milan is in some serious trouble. He has no defense. He's eating non-stop shots here. This could be it. Can he stop? Wow. No, not gets visuals. Whoa. 15 seconds. That he's in the Magny weathered the storm and got it done. How about Neil Magny extending his UFC welterweight wins record and stunning the masses in Ontario?
I think you can tell just by my voice how stunned I was in the moment. You're going to need a lot more than that to get Neil Magny out of there. Kenny, this was built as a showcase spot for Mike Malott on pay-per-view in Canada. And even if my favorite website on the internet, Tapology.com, has this as maybe the 13th or 14th biggest and best upset of the year, for me, this is the one that really stands out. I had forgotten about it because it happened all the way back in January, but Mike Malott was trending and tracking towards the top 15, and a lot of people have gotten magnied like this. A lot of people have passed this magnet test, the Michael Moraleses of the world. A lot of people like Phil Rowe and Michael Malott have not. Congratulations to Neil Magny, my winner for 2024 upset of the year, closed plus 320 or so. Jason Anik, slight betting underdog against me at Karate Combat in 2025. Jay, what do you think about upset of the year as we go to the honorable mentions?
You guys got me rolling backstage. I don't want to be backstage anymore, but I will say, but good selections there. And for those of us that watch all these Boston fighters, Kenny, to sit and watch Rob Font do that to Kyler Phillips that night, that was great. Yes. And in terms of your selection, Neil Magny, you know, sometimes those gatekeepers keep the fucking gate closed. That's what I say, right? They keep the gate closed. They don't let fucking proper Mike Malott in. Anyway. So, John, you have a list of honorable mentions. Do you have that list, by the way, in front of you, John, the honorable mentions? Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're going to read them because there's a lot of pronunciations in there that I don't want to say. But my sneaky upset of the year is Renato Moicano going to Paris, France, and beating Benoit Saint-Denis off that sort of loss against Dustin Poirier. A lot of people thought the sort of French Navy SEAL was still all the rage, and Renato destroyed him, set up a fight. I like very much him against Dariush coming up here next month. So, Renato, if he doesn't get mentioned here today, at least, the upset there. I mean, what a year for Renato.
Kenny, I just wanted to throw some of these out there because there were so many big-time upsets in 2024. I know Rob Font got your hardware, but forced to highlight one of these others, Ken Flo, right? Which one are you highlighting? So Gabriela Fernandez versus Wong Kong recently. Ayman Zahabi against Javid Basharat, right? Sometimes these are tricky because maybe you and I think Ayman's a live underdog going in, or all the masses think that Dustin Poirier is going to beat Benoit Saint-Denis, so it doesn't necessarily stand up as an upset. But Ayman Zahabi was a huge underdog there. Brandon Royval recently against Tatsuro Taira. Mateusz Raumbetsky in a fight of the year contender against Muktabek Oralbai. Raumbetsky was a huge underdog there. That's one that I gave strong consideration to. So shout out to Mateusz Raumbetsky. Thankfully, he wasn't robbed of that win. Volkov against Sergey Pavlovich, Ken Flo. Bilal Muhammad against Leon Edwards. And then Anthony Smith against Vitor Petrino, man. A lot of entries for upset of the year in 24.
Gosh, yeah, absolutely. Well, I think the ones that really stand out for me is the Moicano fight that Jason mentioned, and of course the Bilal fight against Leon. I don't think a whole lot of people gave him a chance in that championship fight. But maybe the Moicano fight for me edges it out just because, again, I didn't think he was going to be able to be that dominant with his takedowns the way that he was. And then did so with like a broken clavicle or dislocated shoulder or whatever the hell that was. But Moicano is an absolute stud and has had a tremendous year.
All right, next category. And it pains us all greatly that Anthony Rumble Johnson is no longer with us. We bring to you this award in his honor. Of course, you know what it is. The Anthony Rumble Johnson Memorial Knockout of the Year. Ken Flo went chalk with his selection, and we don't blame him for it. UFC 300, Dateline, Las Vegas.
Justin Gaethje, both wearing special shorts tonight.
There's no tougher guy in the UFC.
And
Max Holloway has fought.
No guy that's more willing to do or die.
Yes.
High kick.
Finally, in minute 25, Holloway shows some mortality.
Look at this. Holloway just told him, stand right here.
Oh, big connection late. With 1 second to go. Gaethje face first on the canvas. Holloway wins the BMF title.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Whoa. Oh my goodness.
An absolute stunner at UFC 300.
Oh my
1
God.
second to go.
Wow.
Can I make that my call of the year by Mr. Jon Anik as well? Just tremendous stuff there, Johnny. Listen, when you're a fighter and you're in a fight, you can feel a certain flow. You have a certain intuition to say, I got this fight in the bag. I understand what's in front of me. I know what I need to do. That's one thing. But to go out there in round 5 against Justin Gaethje, one of the most dangerous knockout artists in the lightweight division, and Max Holloway is traditionally known as a 145-pounder, and to point in the center of the octagon after you have dominated the majority of that fight, he at least won 3 of the 4 rounds. There's an argument that he won all 4 rounds heading into that round 5. And to trade with someone like Justin Gaethje and to end up getting that knockout and putting your opponent face down into the canvas like Max Holloway did, it doesn't get any better than that. That is a movie script. With 1 second left in the damn fight, Max Holloway is a Hawaiian legend for a reason, man. And just everything about that, the call, the ending, the fight itself, the fact that it was for a BMF belt, bro, come on.
Amazing. Well, thank you for the kind words, buddy. And it is crazy, right? You just promotionally can't draw it up any better. And the one thing on this award show, Kenny and I can't land on the same knockout, right? But how could any show get through knockout of the year and not give it to Max Holloway? And when you think about how much money Max Holloway could potentially make in his life from that knockout, I would say $7 to $10 million just based upon that knockout, right? And I would point to a couple of different things. First of all, he was already going to make the $300,000 for that being the fight of the night in all likelihood. But just in that moment, he made an extra $300,000, right? $600,000 in bonuses. UFC or ESPN, I think it was UFC Store maybe, released today the top sellers in 2024. Max Holloway second at UFCstore.com to Alex Poatan Pereira, right? Think about how many people went on and bought like the floral shorts after that, you know? That knockout's going to make Max Holloway a lot of money, and certainly I understand why you settled on that when it came to your knockout of the year. I do think there's a little bit of a recency bias when it comes to awards and leaning towards things that happen in the fourth quarter. Brings me back to UFC 297. Dricus du Plessis not getting any awards here today, and I think part of that is because he became the champion almost a year ago. But as to my knockout of the year, it goes to the inimitable Shara Bullet Magomedov.
Right hand got through for Magomedov, and now a body kick for Shara Bullet. Oh my gosh! Oh, Shara Bullet does it again with the walk-off KO!
A double spinning back fist.
Unreal. Sign the bonus check now. Shara Bullet lighten him up in Abu Dhabi as he oftentimes does.
Wow.
Yeah, the king of Abu Dhabi, Ken Flo, Shara Bullet Magomedov, my knockout of the year. For some people, not even top 10. There were so many great knockouts, and we'll go to Jay for the honorable mentions. But Shara Bullet with a big moment. And for me, what put it over the edge, familiarity with the opponent, Armen Petrosyan, and doing that against another striker whom I would qualify as world-class, also the first double spinning back fist in UFC history. Thankfully, DC acknowledged it as such because it was lost on me in the moment. Shara Bullet for me, Jay. What else you got?
I'm just sitting here. John Jones, that was considered a knockout, right?
Oh.
Because it's not on the honorable mention list, and you talk about recency
bias.
Well,
I was, hey, you know, you can prep too, bro. I was just sending you a few honorable mentions.
No, I didn't prep today. This is your fucking show. These are the list of honorable mentions, okay? But no, John Jones popped in my head because wasn't that a very unique knockout sort of, Kenny?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, honorable, but you nailed it, obviously, Kenny. Honorable mention couple here: Joaquin Buckley, Wonderboy Thompson, Alex Pereira, Jamal Hill, Ilia Topuria versus Volk, Ilia Topuria versus Max. Vinicius Oliveira, hope I pronounced that right, versus Bernardo Sopaj.
Sopai, yeah.
Sopai. Poirier versus Santini, Usyk versus Schnell, Prates versus Jingliang, and Whitaker versus Alaskarov. A lot there. Jeez.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, Ken for lock dog, Vinicius Oliveira. Right, Robert Whitaker against Ikram Alaskarov. I do believe, though, you're right again, Jay, man. Most notable omission might be John Jones with the spinning back kick to the body. Incredible. The fight
about body shots. You could even add a
though.
category, the body shot, right? That's what I was trying to think about, was the body shots of 2024.
Yeah.
The body shot knockouts that don't often sleep someone, but technically.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff, Jay. Plenty more from the underprepared Jason Anik throughout the rest of the awards show. All right, submission of the year. This was cool, Kenny, for a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt like yourself with a bunch of stripes on it, because a lot of the biggest fights of 2024 ended by submission. That included a lightweight champion's title defense at The Rock at UFC 302.
Prognosticators were not expectant that we would get to the final 5 minutes. Here they are between Dustin Poirier and Islam Makhachev.
Dustin Poirier was well prepared tonight. So is Makhachev. It's been a great fight.
Looking for darts.
Yeah, looking for darts. Dustin's got to be careful here. Oh, that's tight.
Oh, he tapped Islam Makhachev with a submission in round 5. The throne remains in Makhachev.
Wow. What a fight.
And what a moment for the team as they mob Islam Makhachev, showing all the heart befitting a champion. He was tested by Poirier, but Islam Makhachev still the best in the world at 155.
John, a good grappling sequence leading to a submission is always impressive and beautiful to watch, because it denotes a certain level of artistry, and doing so at the highest levels of the sport, and doing it against another really solid grappler in Dustin Poirier when it counts. When Dustin Poirier was gaining momentum in that fight, is just so impressive. Just clean fundamentals. You do not want Islam Makhachev on top of you when he has a hold of your neck, because he most likely is going to finish every single time. It just shows how good Islam Makhachev is and how good he deals with pressure when it matters. And of course, he's already one of the best pound for pound fighters in the sport, but doing something like that, really solidified that.
And not trying to bring it back to the call, but do you hear my emotion in that moment, right? It's just natural to what is transpiring. I was so blown away by that takedown and that sequence by Islam at that point in time to take the judges out of it. And I think you can hear that emotion. So I like that you landed on that. You know, I almost pivoted to Dricus du Plessis here, just out of respect for how long ago it happened. I couldn't do it. My winner also gets the takedown of the year, I think, with respect to Islam for 2024. Also, my submission of the year for 2024. Let's get to it.
Co-headliner presented by V-Chains. Be better, earn rewards for sustainable choices. Robert Whittaker, still a young man at 33. Khamzat Chimaev, the betting favorite, is 30. Chimaev 2 inches taller. He will have a reach advantage of 1.5 inches. Whittaker was submitted one time pre-UFC at welterweight 13 years ago back in 2011. Never at 85. Chimaev taking his time, maybe trying to get an elbow home right on the ear he lands.
He tapped! Still undefeated! And likely coming to a title fight near you! Khamzat Chimaev is that good!
Is that how strong that grip is that he got that choke?
He tapped fast. It wasn't under the chin, it was on the neck. Oh, Robert's pointing to his face. Holy cow.
So some sort of face crank, the submission in round 1.
Wow.
Khamzat Chimaev, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, I think he messed up his jaw.
He's the most electric fighter in the sport. And to do that against Robert Whittaker is otherworldly. Khamzat Chimaev, Kenny, I know for you, right there, runner-up for 2024 submission of the year. Just an incredible result, and it came in what you could argue was the most anticipated non-title fight of 2024. So Khamzat Chimaev, congratulations, my winner for 2024 submission of the year. Jason Anik, other than just outstanding hair, what else do you have on submission?
Well, Cody Merrow put in the chat another A+ call by Mr. Anik, right? And I know I'm your brother, but bro, that was great, man. And listening to that back, I don't even, in the moment watching it, and I wasn't in the building, I was at home, but I'm paying attention to Whittaker's teeth. I'm not, but really well executed, man, like that. Well, I was going to say something if Cody didn't, even though I don't like giving you your flowers. But by the way, the UFC, as we relive all of these moments, does it not like deliver? Like, John, aren't you looking forward to Wheels Up to LA? I mean, like for UFC 311, like can all these fans, anyone watching this, like, can you all not wait till this gets going again? My God.
Let me just say on that, right? Because when I put the headset down on December 7th at UFC 310, I needed a break.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, a few days later, I'm like, all right. You know, and I do think I can relate to Alexander Volkanovski. I'm my own worst enemy when I have all of this recreational time.
But UFC 311 is absolutely stacked. But a couple of honorable mentions for submission of the year 2024. Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Asakura. Recency there. Duplessis versus Adesanya. Ortega versus Yair Rodriguez, Paddy Pimblett versus Bobby Green, Lima versus Naimov, and Figueiredo versus Garbrandt. I just want to touch on that one real quick. Figueiredo versus Garbrandt, which opened UFC 300. It was a great night for Davis and Figueiredo, and Cody Garbrandt was ready, prepared. I thought he fought a good fight, and when that fight ended, he turned very close to the broadcast booth, just like looking like that guy is just an animal. So I know Figueiredo did meet his match in his last bout, but a lot of great submissions in 2024.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what we get out of Davis and Figueiredo in 2025. Maybe a return to flyweight, perhaps not. I'd like to see him in a bantamweight title fight. But yeah, that's a good acknowledgement there by you. New category, by the way, in 2025. We will have takedown of the year, the best single takedown executed in the octagon that year. All right. 7th of 10 categories. I love Kenny's pick here. Stephan Bonnar, American Psycho Fight of the Year. This award named in honor of our late dear friend Stephan Bonnar, who competed alongside Kenny on season 1 of The Ultimate Fighter back in 2005 and who passed away unexpectedly in December of 2022. All right, Salt Lake City, Utah was the backdrop for Ken Flo's top fight of 2024.
Speed is extraordinary. Oh, there's a clean right hand by Alex. And a nice jab to follow it up from the champ.
It's hard not, many thought that Pereira would get him out of there.
That was a good kick to the body by Pereira. That might have hurt him. Ooh! Strong response in round 3 from the champ. He's doing his best to try to stay in there, but he's broken.
Yeah, he's beaten down, man.
Nice angle on the knee by Pereira.
Oh, knee up the middle.
This could be the beginning of the end. Roundtree Jr. hanging tough, throwing back.
Fighting.
Oh my goodness.
What hard.
What hard, but he just doesn't have much left.
Oh, there it is. Body shot.
That body shot. That will do it. That will indeed do it. And still, Alex Pereira reigns supreme.
Wow.
Shama.
I mean, what a champion that guy is.
I love it.
There's blood all over the table in front of Jon Anik here.
Oh, look at my
your
phone.
notes.
Take a picture of this and send it to me, please, Joe. Look at my phone.
I love it. Well, DC's ending that call with "look at my phone." Why? Because there was blood all over the desk and in front of you guys. It had everything, right? It was brutal. It had high stakes. It was technical as well. That was my fight of the year. And, I think if people saw Khalil Roundtree winning that fight, it was going to be because he just caught him, right? He was going to land that one shot that would have knocked out Pereira. Well, he was actually out-teching Pereira in rounds 1 and 2, and it was up, 2 rounds on my scorecard anyway, and I think a lot of the judges' scorecards heading into round 3. And I know that there was rumors about Pereira dealing with an illness. We should acknowledge that, if that is true or not. But Khalil Roundtree was fighting, or had the fight of his life. He was executing beautifully. He was doing all the right things. But then Alex Pereira's body shots, his leg kicks started to add up, and Roundtree started to run out of gas and run out of steam and was immobilized largely. And Pereira's body shots and then ultimately his head shots, getting it done in round 4 was just a thing of beauty. To make those adjustments, the fight really had everything. It was just such a beautiful fight to watch by both men. That was my fight of the year, John.
I think we see it again. I really do. If they can somehow get that cut on the bridge of Khalil Roundtree Jr.'s nose to heal. Have you seen him, bro? Like, it's 2.5 months later. It still hasn't healed.
Crazy.
Or maybe not so crazy if you saw what the broadcast booth looked like.
Right.
Every time I see Khalil Roundtree Jr. as I'm hawking his social media, I'm like, man, has that thing healed yet? Oh, no, it still hasn't.
He showed so much toughness in that fight.
Crazy.
Man. Crazy.
So as I've said repeatedly, my favorite show of the year, the most memorable UFC show I have ever called, trumping Khabib versus McGregor and everything else, was that live event at Sphere. And it just so happened to feature what Joe Rogan, I believe, suggested was the best fight he has ever called.
Close your hand. Close your hand.
In a fight like this. Oh! Shoots right for Rivas! Zellhuber nearly out on his feet!
Rivas coming out strong! Oh, my goodness! Zellhuber's in big trouble!
Oh, Rivas trying to close the show!
Stop just doing everything and find the right shot.
I'm not sure Zellhuber knows exactly where he is.
Nasty shot to the body.
Oh, my goodness. This fight is crazy.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh! Oh, right from Zellhuber!
Zellhuber comes back. Oh! What a war.
And Zellhuber now lands. A knee and a right to the...
Unbelievable.
Oh! Right land from Rigovic. The spear is alive!
What a fight.
There are probably 150 UFC fights that are Hall of Fame worthy that will never get in there. And let's just hope one day the Hall of Fame opens its doors to this fight. And I think the Sphere backdrop will help. Esteban Ribovic and Daniel Zellhuber. My word, Kenny. What an amazing fight. Had that requisite back and forth that you like for a fight of the year. And yeah, as memorable a fight as certainly I called in 2024. And I think that one's going to withstand the test of time. It's amazing when I think about some of the fights being considered for the UFC Hall of Fame's class of 2025 and how impossible it is to pare it down to one. And for us, just doing this exercise annually. Good segue to our honorable mention, Jay. Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway, I think for a lot of people was the fight of the year.
Sure.
I probably would have gone Alex Pineda versus Khalil Roundtree Jr. had Ken Flo not gone in that direction, but I feel like this fight between Ribovic and Zellhuber deserves some hardware. We send these guys cash as well, so that's kind of nice too.
I think you guys nailed it. Before I get to a couple of the honorable mentions, I just quick Stephan Bonner story because the award is named after him. At John's wedding, Flo, I'm going for a jog on the treadmill, like a jog, right? And then the 6'3" fucking psycho gets on the treadmill next to me and puts the whatever it is, the incline all the way up and just starts fucking sprinting, you know? And I'm just like jogging and like nicest guy on the planet. And was so impressive physically and just worked his ass off everywhere and was just such a good human, John. Sorry.
So the treadmill wrap starts coming off, right? The screws start coming out of the treadmill as Bonner is literally like eating the thing, you know? No, that didn't happen. But he had just beaten, I believe, Carlos Vemola, Kenny, as you know, because you were at the wedding a couple weeks prior. And so, yeah, he was a little bit busted up. He had a black eye, maybe a couple stitches or whatever it was. And it's like, dude, could you ease up on the treadmill, Stefan? Like, are you trying to break it or are you just sprinting uphill? But anyway, yes.
Yeah, and that was when John and I were had just entered into this mixed martial arts world, and you immediately you're so humbled. You're like, oh yeah, like yeah, I'm me and he's him. Yeah, like totally different worlds. Couple other honorable mentions. I mean, Gaethje Holloway, yes. Fight of the year, certainly. Makhachev Poirier, you talk about. Oralbai versus Raumbetsky. Hope I pronounced that right. Mateusz Gamrot, Dan Hooker over your left shoulder, John. Duplessis versus Adesanya. Prohaska versus Rakic. It goes on and on. Oliveira, Sopai. Any of those, Johnny?
I'm telling you, Kenny, like Vinicius Oliveira versus Bernardo Sopai was back and forth. That definitely deserves consideration. But, dude, I feel like I could have given fucking Mateusz Raumbetsky a couple of awards today. Upset of the year. And, dude, that fight was insane.
Dude, no shortage of great choices in 2024 for sure. But I mean, the Ribovic Zellhuber fight, as frustrated as I was because I picked Zellhuber to win that fight, I was blown away by how many knockout punches were thrown during that fight, and just going, how the hell are these guys staying standing throughout this 15-minute war? It's an absolute classic, dude. I love that pick.
All right, just 3 categories to go. It brings us to our Women's Fighter of the Year. Ken Flo, you are going outside of the UFC, and I think rightfully so. Your 2024 Female Fighter of the Year is who?
Yeah, I went with Dakota Ditcheva. And, just knowing how brutal the year is in the PFL, having to, fight 4 fights in a calendar year is no joke. I don't know who Chelsea Hackett is. That was one of the wins on her resume. But Lisa Malden, very good fighter, very tough overall, grappler, striker type fighter. Jenna Bishop, tremendous Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. And Tyler Santos, of course, who you know very well, who fought in the UFC at a high level. She went through all of those women in less than a year and did so by finish. Dakota Ditcheva is an absolute star. I would love to see her over in the UFC at some point. But what a year for her, man.
Yeah, I feel like on this show, with respect to all of the women in the UFC, that it would have been unanimous, right? Like if I was part of some voting body, right, straight meritocracy, and I had to pick the 2024 Women's Fighter of the Year, I think it is Dakota Ditcheva, and I think she has a great chance to be that fighter for a lot of people in 2025. For me, though, there was one individual performance in 2024 that didn't get nearly enough credit for its worth, for its dominance, for its execution, fight IQ, just overall MMA chops and acumen, championship medal. So I'm going to celebrate here what I believe was an incredible championship effort and hand out my hardware for Women's Fighter of the Year.
Know that people will be pining to see them fight again.
Well, especially after such a dominant performance by Valentina. This is not a close fight. Even though Alexa's had her moments and had her opportunities, this is mostly a Valentina Shevchenko victory. Valentina's just determined to win these exchanges.
I mean, that's the word. And that is a personal best. 8 takedowns secured. We will hear and new shortly as Valentina Shevchenko turns in one of the better performances of her 17-fight UFC career. The women's flyweight title is headed back to Kyrgyzstan unless we receive the most wayward scorecards in UFC history.
No! Undisputed UFC flyweight champion of the world, Valentina Shevchenko.
So when we recap Noche UFC, there was plenty to unpack on the Alexa Grasso side. Her performance was sort of listless. A lot of the credit, rightfully so, went to Shevchenko, but promotionally, there's no way they would have put that fight as the co-headliner at Sphere if they thought that it was going to underdeliver to that extent. Now, certainly Grasso's Mexican heritage had a big role in all of that, right? But as a whole, Kenny, because the last 2 fights at Sphere were so underwhelming, we lost sight of how brilliant an execution this was by Valentina Shevchenko. One of the best fights, I thought, performances of her 17-fight UFC career. I feel like in terms of this series with Alexa Grasso, she actually made people forget that she got like face cranked to the point of discoloration in the first meeting. Right then they fight to a draw, retention by Alexa Grasso. No need for a 4th meeting after Valentina Shevchenko systematically dismantles Alexa Grasso. To me, that was good enough for Valentina Shevchenko, Jay, to get 2024 Female Fighter of the Year.
Yeah, good stuff out of both of you. A couple honorable mentions. Kayla Harrison, obviously, she's gotten some noise on the program already. I just want to mention Zhang Weili, right? We talk about the Sphere being the greatest night of our lives, right? DC and I. Well, he talked about Zhang Weili at one point, I think, being the greatest athlete like on the planet, man or woman. And Yan Xiaonan was game that night in that 5-round unanimous decision win at UFC 300, even though she only fought once. Greatest female fighter for me in the world, Zhang Weili right now. So I think she deserves mention as well.
Good stuff. All right. That brings us to one of the most important awards today. Thanks, everybody, joining us live on YouTube for these 10th annual Anik and Florian Podcast Awards. It is our Adam Snacks Geller Male Fighter of the Year. And as I'm prepping this show, I always go back and Google our dear friend, the late Adam Snacks Geller, Ken Flo, who we worked very closely with. And there's some great videos on the character that was Adam Snacks Geller, who passed away from colon cancer in 2017. All right, we mentioned earlier, Ken Flo has a man crush in mixed martial arts, and this award show gives him the opportunity to pay his respects to said man. Here's Ken Flo's Fighter of the Year.
Topuria is terrifying.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into
Featherweight champion of the world, Ilya Almazador Topuria.
I'd be curious if we ran one of those polls that you like, John, on Twitter, how many people would have picked, or what percentage of people would have picked Ilya Topuria to beat both Volkanovski and Max Holloway in one calendar year? And I would also like to see what percentage of people would have picked him to finish both of those guys in one calendar year. You're talking about two of the greats in the sport, let alone just the featherweight division. And the fact that he was able to do that shows how great, not good, how great he is. This is a guy whose technique, his prowess, his aggression, his intelligence is just simply above everybody else's in the game right now. What do those guys do? And I talk about this all the time, how rare this is. They elevate the sport as a whole. Everybody looks towards that fighter and goes, oh, that's how good I need to be. That's what I need to implement into my game. That's how good Ilya Topuria is. And yeah, man, I would love to hate the guy. You know, he's got it all, but you know, I can't. The guy is simply head and shoulders above a lot of people right now, and he's my fighter of the year.
It really is amazing to hear pro fighters like yourself talk in these superlative terms about Ilya Topuria. I'm not surprised that he ended up being your male fighter of the year for 2024. And my friend Luke Thomas honestly believes that it is blasphemous to suggest that anybody else is the 2024 fighter of the year. And when I go back to a thought process involving a voting body and a true meritocracy, when you look at knocking out Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway,
crazy,
the consensus two greatest featherweights of all time with respect
within
to
10 minutes
inside a calendar year. Yes. And as quickly as he did it, and sort of just saying, sort of as an eventuality in the front of the fights, that this is what was going to happen, right?
Right.
How does he not get the award? But for me, when I think back 10, 15 years down the line to 2024, you know what I'm going to think, Ken Flo? I'm going to think it's the year of the Wood Dragon. No, I'm not going to think it's the year of the Wood Dragon. I'm going to think it's the year of Poatan.
When that motherfucker walks out, I didn't
even hear it. Is it crazy?
He's the scariest motherfucker when he walks out because he stands there.
They shouldn't have let him stand up.
No, put him sitting.
Stop. Continue. Please, get out of here.
Big early knockdown for Poatan.
Oh my goodness.
Alex Poatan Pereira, my 2024 male fighter of the year. It's wild to think he didn't even compete until April, and then he 3 times saved the day for the UFC. They didn't have a headliner at UFC 307 in Salt Lake City, Utah. Needed somebody to step up at UFC 303 during International Fight Week. Of course, UFC 300 goes without saying. And yes, you can argue Yuri Prochazka and Jamal Hill and Khalil Roundtree Jr. may not go down as all-time greats like Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski in terms of strength of schedule, quality of wins, signature wins, right? But in Yuri Prochazka and Jamal Hill, you're still talking about 2 former champions, even if a division that isn't as highly thought of, maybe skill for skill, as 145 pounds. But, dude, it's Poatan's world. Like, when he finished Khalil Roundtree Jr., I didn't even know what to say anymore. I don't plan any of my calls, but I think I said something like he reigns supreme because I didn't know what the fuck else to say. I mean, maybe I'll drop a Danbury, Connecticut on you next year if he successfully defends the title. Alex Poatan Pereira, my male fighter of the year for 2024. Jason Anik, anything else in terms of guys we might have forgotten for 2024 fighter of the year?
Listening to Flo break down Ilia Topuria like that, just I could listen to that all day. And Poatan, correct me if I'm wrong, was in neither of your top 5 pound for pound list when forced to do it. Am I wrong? I know that's sort of whatever, but right, Johnny?
Yeah, I mean, whatever, bro.
Yeah, fighter of the year.
We got a lot of hate because of that, Joe.
Right. I mean, are you trying to get everybody going again on that or what?
No. And for all of you Minutemen out there, I ain't no motherfucking Minuteman. But the 3 honorable mentions are, that's my dog, Bilal Muhammad, Merab Dvalishvili, and Diego Lopez. Flo. Certainly worth mention.
Right.
Absolutely. But, what about Pereira? Would he win walkout of the year pretty much every single damn year? Dude, I hear that music and I see the stare and it's unlike anything in sports. Like the dude is something else, man.
I get chills every time Joe Rogan talks about Poatan on any platform. All right. Thanks, Jay. We'll get back to you as we close out these awards show with our personality of the year. And you want to talk about personality that transcends verbal communication and languages and language barriers. Behold, Ken Flo's 2024 personality of the year.
Also with us, Alex Pereira and Bilal Muhammad, 2 of the better pound-for-pound fighters in the world today.
Aí, Patão, aí, tira uma foto aqui, velho. Foi.
Que happy!
Gostei.
Você like it?
Gostei.
Does he smile? Does he have fun? I like having fun. I love you guys.
Você sorri, ele parece que você tá puto com ele. Eu falei, ele tá puto comigo. Não, me abraça. Você... Dá um abraço. Por um segundo eu achei que você tá puto comigo.
Ele falou, pô, acho que o Israel ia gostar dessa jaqueta também.
Ah, mas é minha, né?
É, but it's mine.
Deu pra falar pra vocês?
And I have one last thing to say.
Chama.
Oh, man, I'm absolutely fascinated by that man, Alex Poatan Pereira. Listen, I had no idea he was as funny as he is. He's got that cold stare and all that stuff, and there's probably only one of 2 jobs you would think he would do. It's either like contract killer or fighter. Like when he's got the shaved head and he's staring down the camera, you know exactly what that guy is all about. So just impressive in that regard. He just has a certain aura that not a whole lot of people have. When he walks out to fight, it just feels special every single damn time. And the fact that he's kind of, brought on this other side of him, which is really funny. He doesn't smile a lot, like DC said, doesn't laugh a lot, but the dude is hilarious. And I think the fact that he keeps a straight face is what makes it so funny. But yeah, he's the personality of the year for me, man. It's an unbelievable fighter. And maybe now, John, people will get off my back for giving him a reward, but he deserves it.
Shama. Cody has designed a t-shirt for himself with the word Shama on it. I have Poatan merchandise in my closet. I got merch for a lot of fighters, but I bought Poatan merchandise, and no fighter sold more merchandise at UFCstore.com in 2024 than Alex Poatan Pereira. Ken Flo's personality of the year. For me, though, I think anybody who has watched this program dutifully over the past year knows acutely the direction in which I'm going for my personality of the year.
We start with the exchanges. Raul Rosas was able to connect the better punches.
Everybody on this arena know what's coming. So on the count of 3, I want everybody to scream Chihuahuas with me. 1, 2, 3, Chihuahua!
What does that mean?
Chee-wee-wees, right? I could kind of do it, but.
Hey, before we start this interview, let's get a chiwiwi.
Yeah.
Chiwiwi. 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 Chiwiwi.
Buffalo Bills are on board. Chiwiwis. If you notice my hat, I'm wearing my Chiwiwis hat. It is the most comfortable hat I own. See, I buy a lot of fighter merchandise, but yeah, Raul Rosas Jr. and the whole Chiwiwis movement, my personality of the year for 2024. My honorable mention as we go 3 wide and welcome Boston Anik into the conversation one final time is New Mansa Joaquin Buckley. An acquired taste for some a taste they don't ever want to acquire. Give me all that New Mansa.
Give me all
314.
All day long. Couple other honorable mentions before I give out my personality of the year, because why not?
You're going to give it to Bilal or no?
No. Come on, man. Let me talk. Merab Dawalish, give me in the fucking back room. I'm ready to fucking eat this microphone. All right. Merab Dawalish, Willie, fucking watching you guys. I usually listen to you guys when I'm fucking running. Gotta look at you guys. This guy with his fucking red, white hat. All right. So honorable mention, Merab Dawalish, Willie, Oban Elliott, who I met this year. Love that cat. Brian Battle. But my personality of the year, show me the money. Money Moicano, Renato Moicano, right? Show me Renato Moicano financial statement end of 2023, her Renato Moicano financial statement end of 2024. Conquering the Bitcoin world, winning fights in the octagon too. He says he can't afford to lose. You can be sure he hasn't. Renato Money Moicano, can't get enough of him. Love him as a person too.
I think that's great that Renato Moicano is your personality of the year. Less great when you start to talk about him. You change into this weird accent thing. I don't know if you know you're doing it when you're like, Renato Moicano.
Like him?
You sound fucking Mexican or Spanish. You don't sound Brazilian.
Really?
You're like, his bank account the end of 2023 compared to the end of 2024.
I think I'm just trying to get everybody toward the finish line. But no, I love when he would talk about Benoit Saint-Denis and be like BSB. I can listen to that all day, like Flo talking Brazilian Portuguese. Anyway,
beach wave in your hair. You might need some more products, so we'll let you go.
No, not much in there.
Jason, I'm available. I'm available for Portuguese accent lessons Monday through Thursday. If you
well, Kenny, I'll see you at that thing in Miami on New
there
Year's
you go.
Eve,
That's
right?
right.
Later.
That's right. Yeah.
That's good stuff. All right, you can put it back in the back room now, Cody. Thanks. There you go. All right, thanks everybody for indulging us. 10th annual Anik and Florian podcast awards are in the can with finality. Thanks to our executive producer, Cody Merrill, putting it all together. Thanks to our great family at Draftkings and the Draftkings Network. Of course, our friends at Cuervo for presenting this program for you folks today. Thanks to the star of the program, Ray Longo, and Jason Anik for all of his contributions to the show, some of which you see and some of which you don't. We are right back on Monday, January 6th. We will get back to what we do best and get you preview for the first UFC fight night of the year in the main event between Amanda Hebos and Mackenzie Dern. With that, we wish you all a very happy and healthy new year. Onward to 2025, ladies and gentlemen. For Ken Flo, I'm Jon Anik. Thanks for watching. We will see you next year. Until then, yo fucking later.